Hi, my name is Jeremy Crow. In this video, I'd like to talk a little bit about how I came to consider myself a Luciferian and how I came to be on the left-hand path. Well, to start out with, I was put through Catholic school, although my parents were not very active Christians. I did get quite a bit of the conditioning through the church. The first time I saw a mass, I kept asking my mother questions about it, and when I found out that the priest was supposedly transforming bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ, and that everyone goes up and then consumes that, it was pretty amazing to me. I mean, I think I was about 4, and I thought, wow, this is some crazy magic. But the priest really doesn't seem to be into it. He doesn't seem to be actually doing any magic. He just seems to be up there just blandly reciting some stuff from memory and no meaning behind it whatsoever. And that bothered me even as a 4-year-old. I thought, if he's doing some kind of crazy magic, it sure doesn't seem like he believes that he's doing any kind of magic. And I bet you there's no magic actually happening here. But I felt like, if this is real, if, all these people here believe that this is real, I want to become a priest, and I want to do this magic, and I'm going to be such a good priest that when I transform the bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ, people are going to spit it out on the floor because they're going to be so surprised that it tastes like actual flesh and actual blood. So anyways, I had a calling to the priesthood from a very early age, and I remember reading the Old Testament and being kind of freaked out by it as well, because the God described there seemed way, way, way more like a demon than any kind of God that I could imagine anyone ever following. Genocide is ordered. People are kept ignorant. They're not allowed to eat the tree of knowledge. Once they do, they're kicked out of Eden, and they, so that they don't eat from the tree of life as well and become immortal. It just seemed like God was trying to keep us down and kept ordering us to do all kinds of really horrific things. And that really bothered me. My parents didn't have an answer for me about it. Ultimately, this type of thing, as well as church law and rules, that really didn't jive with my life plan. I ultimately ended up having to seek out an alternate spiritual system to satisfy my strong calling. I ended up finding a good home in Golden Dawn style ritual magic, and studied that for a while. When I turned 21, I joined a mixed gender Freemasonic lodge. I was going to join a mainstream male only lodge, but then I realized that there are mixed gender lodges that treat women equally, which makes sense to me, and that they also happen to be more esoterically oriented, which is what I was into it for anyways. I was pretty active in that for a bunch of years. I was raised to the 3rd degree of Master Mason. During this time, I also was involved with the Gnostic Christian Church. I was studying directly under Bishop Carl Manuel, the head bishop of Canada. And over the course of 4 years, I went through the minor and major orders up to and including priest. During this time, I ultimately kept picking up these strands of an underground current of Luciferianism, and I didn't quite associate myself as a Luciferian when I first started getting into Freemasonry and Gnosticism, but ultimately I did end up making those connections in my head, and one day it just clicked, and I realized that Lucifer was what I'd been seeking in these traditions in the first place. But I just hadn't been ready to, accept that myself. But, it all boils down to sharing knowledge, dispelling delusion, and in the process gaining more freedom for yourself, and not limiting yourself because of other people want to limit you, and they're using manipulative things such as religious belief, fear of eternal torture, fear of God, which, why should you fear God? There's just so much I can go on and on about why I follow a left-hand path and why I resonate with Lucifer. But, I hope that gives you a little bit of background from where I'm coming from here. And, I'll share more later. Thanks.